Yeah. So Wolves won, West Ham won. We lost 4-1. This could prove problematic. Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. Joe, that league table looks bad now, mate. I know we've been fighting the good fight all season, but how significant are that triumvirate of crap results going to prove to be, mate?
Yes, and you look at Wolves have got Fulham at home on Tuesday before we go to Old Trafford on Wednesday, and it could look even worse by then. And we've needed to stay in touch with them, but it does feel like they're just a mid-table side now, aren't they? And they're picking up the results that a mid-table side will do, and we're just struggling to keep any pace, really, aren't we?
We are, Dave. I mean, you said that Wolves looked good last week, but we also said it's all well and good having a heroic draw, but it's another home defeat and a big one as well. Dave, is this the 5 points? Must be the biggest gap there's been this season.
Yeah, I think so. And we can't disregard Wolves because I think we've said all along for the past few weeks we're in a 4-team league, really. But sorry, 3 probably. But
Wolves getting promoted out of this league.
Well, West Ham. Well, the jump from us to 16th is like something like 13 points now between us and West Ham. Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, yesterday, I'm sorry, was just more of the same, wasn't it? Unfortunately, it just goes to show how the brutality of the Premier League is. It's just been a harsh wake up call as such, but more lesson even. But yeah, I think we all when the season started, obviously we were all upbeat, very much so, but it's slowly being sucked away as each defeat comes along with it, and certainly at home as well. All that optimism has slowly just been sucked away, and yeah, yesterday was, as I said at the start, was just more of the same, really, wasn't it?
It was. Joe, when in the past, when you've spoken to Norwich fans and Sheffield United fans and Luton fans, etc., or Leeds fans or whatever, and they've been downbeat about it, well, I'll tell you my sense. I've been a little bit like, oh, come on, guys, what are you talking about? You know, be a bit more chipper. I'm kind of have a new level of empathy now, and it's going to get worse because this 17 theory that you put up a couple of months ago, it's going to be season 4 with the same 17, and it's going to be hard for anyone in our position here.
Well, I think like I said, there's so many examples you can pick off, can't you? Like Dave's just talked about West Ham, they're in 16th place. Well, who did West Ham sign this summer? Crescencio Summerfield, the best player in the Championship. And how many minutes has he played for them? He's barely started a game when I watch, and that's just the difference. Where if he'd have signed for us, he'd have been our marquee signing and probably played sort of the best part of 90 minutes week in, week out, and they can give him a year to drip feed into the side and can go from there. And I say these 7, they're all so well run now, aren't they? Wolves had this mad season, but even now they've sorted themselves out. And you look at like Everton, or West Ham, they're 30 points in 26 games. They're all going to clear 40, aren't they? And that's 16 teams going to clear 40. And Wolves, I'm sure their second half of the season form will do it. They just totally pooed the bed in the first half of the season, didn't they? And had players falling out, managers sort of not into it, a bad summer of recruitment, but they've sort of seen the danger and sorted it out there. It's just, I say, it's just so difficult. And I remember I went to the Southampton game at the start of the season, met a friend who's a Southampton fan after the game, and I was quite infused. Oh, I've got a good point, they're playing well. And he was just like, no, just two sides that definitely got to be relegated, going through the motions already. And I was like, oh. And now I think I can see that attitude now, why they've got it and why Leicester fans just weren't. They just know they're going to go down and they're going to be hammered with penalties when they get down and bits like that. And I was actually, after the game, so I spoke to my father-in-law, who's a Leeds fan, and he went to the playoff final and said after the game, the people he was with, who are all season ticket holders, home and aways, were just like, actually not that bothered. Like, obviously they were desperate to win, but within 10 minutes of the game ended, they were almost like, well, actually we get another year in the Championship where we win most weeks. And obviously you saw the Sunderland game the other night where they've had a moment at the end of the game where Strike scores, and you just think Yeah, that is. You can see why it's more enjoyable. What is more enjoyable, winning every week or turning up and just getting beaten every week, isn't it? Which is what it is at the moment, especially at Portman Road this year. We've got 7 points, haven't we, at home?
Dave, can you see why people in the comments, and I can see what I said. It feels like a symbolic one. A lot of people are like, kind of, okay, well, that's probably you love a golf analogy, Dave. I'll give you a snooker one. We are definitely needing 2 snookers now, yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. Mathematically, as Colin said there in the chat, we're not. But look, realistically, I think I said after the Southampton game, who are we going to beat? Who realistically are we going to beat? Sorry, if you can't beat Southampton at home, if you lose to Southampton at home, it's just and it's gonna it's gonna be. We've been so secure at home over the past 2 seasons, and that's ultimately what's going to cost us, isn't it? Just those well, hardly taken. Joe said 7 points, one win against Chelsea, and the points dropped against the Leicesters and the Southamptons and the Evertons and the Palaces, and that's ultimately what's going to cost us. I think any away points you pick up in the Premier League, fine, yeah, you hope, I suppose over the season you hope to scrape perhaps double figures away points. Absolutely fine if you could pick up, perhaps, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 home wins or decent results. But yeah, just.
Well, I think we've got 10 from 13 away from home. That's probably okay, isn't it? Yeah. If you get like 15, 16 points away from home in the Premier League, you've probably done all right, haven't you, over the season? But you've got to get more points at home than you do away. And so if you get 15, 16 away and you get 18, 19 at home, you're sort of there, really, aren't you? But
you are.
It's very, very difficult.
And yesterday was just such a carbon copy of so many. If you don't take your chances early, you're just going to get punished. And I walked out, I heard a Spurs fan on the way out say something along the lines of, "Us first time Son has turned up this season." He did have the freedom of Portman Road on one or two.
We'll get on to that, Dave.
I met a Spurs fan after the game. One of my mates who used to work with him, he said it wasn't a 4-1 game, but he said, but if that, on the flip side, if they were playing Crystal Palace and they played like they did yesterday, they'd probably lost 2-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say, Wise Man said, if you don't beat the worst teams in the league at home, you are the worst teams in the league. So there you go. Guys, welcome everybody to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. We'll try and keep it chipper. We'll try and keep it upbeat in the face of not only Ipswich 1, Spurs 4 yesterday, but Joe pointed out to me, Dave, in the bottom half of the Premier League, everybody won. Incredible. Except Everton and Man United, who drew with each other. So just literally the worst. It actually couldn't have been any worse in terms of points wise.
And the bottom 3 all conceded 4 at home.
Against just what teams in the middle of the table? Well,
against yeah,
the Premier League, ladies and gentlemen. So it was Spurs, and I heard Ange Postecoglou saying, "Well, okay, we've had a couple of spare midweeks and some injured players have been returning, and it does feel like the time to play them would have been a couple of weeks before we actually ended up playing them." And Joe, this is the Spurs lineup here for you. Vicario, Spence. There you go. There's a Blue Monday classic. Correctly at right back, as I was complaining about last week.
But he went to left back and then scored.
Okay, with the aid of a deflection. We'll get there. We'll get there, Dave. Joe. Udogie is the other fullback. Gray, Danso, Bentancur, Bergval, Son, Kulusevski, Johnson. Not that one, but son of our good friend Jono, and Tell. So no Maddison. Porro came on as well. Odebear, Basuma. Yeah, right. What did you make of that Spurs 11, Joe?
Yes, it looks a good side on paper, but it looked like there's some weak spots. And Archie Gray playing centre back looks
against the lap,
an area which could be targeted and was very successful at the start of the game. I think sort of Danso's a new signing, but I thought he was actually excellent when he played. Probably man of the match there, I thought, at the back. But yeah, I think there was areas that there is a young team in it. Bergval, his first season in senior football.
Can I just say something before I forget? Sorry, Joe. Bergval might be the best young midfield player I've seen all season. What a player he is.
It's around so well, doesn't it?
Unbelievable player. Sorry, Joe.
was 3 Swedish central midfielders on the pitch yesterday with Kulusevski, Bergvall, and Karius, wasn't there? But no, it's just a good side. It's interesting that they didn't play Maddison because he obviously scored the goal last week against Man United to get them the win, and you've expected him to start, but
definitely
didn't.
Score in that stadium, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, we'll get to it, but I thought his substitution just totally changed the game, and really he just takes the ball on in such good areas, right up the pitch, right in very, very difficult to defend areas, and sort of almost just ended the game for him.
Here's your Ipswich 11. Dave, will go to you with this. Alex Palmer continues in goal. Godfrey and Davis are the fullbacks. Greaves and O'Shea centre-backs. Kayust and Phillips. More from those two later because neither of them are going to finish the game. Clark is down the left. Philogene down the right. Hutchinson and Delap, Dave.
Yeah, how can I describe that? A bit ballsy, I'd suggest. I think we said in the pub, certainly those three behind Delap. Was it full debut for Philogene? Was it his full debut, or play
Lee in the league,
aside from the cup game? Yeah. I mean, it was always going to be debate who was going to start at right back. I think perhaps there was a consensus of thought that we'd perhaps start how we finished. Well, how we finished after half time, and we went with half time yesterday with, Wolfenden. With that Wolfenden coming in and O'Shea slotting in at right back there. But he went with Godfrey. Yeah, clearly he doesn't trust Johnson there, although perhaps he is more suited to playing a slightly more advanced role. But no, other than that, I think the general thought was, bloody hell, Philogene and Clark starting.
What's your take, Joe?
Yeah, and for me, I wanted Philogene to start because I felt that I don't think you can play Amari Hutchinson on the right against a team like this. You need somebody who is right-footed and can get up and down the pitch. And the problem is we haven't got that balanced player anymore because we've got both Wes Burge and Cherry Benny out for the season, and they are the ones that get up and down the pitch and have that athleticism to be able to come back and drop in and defend effectively and still offer you something going forward. So we're in a position where we've either got Ben Johnson, who really is a very defensive option there, or Jaden Philogene, who's very much the other way there. So it's sort of pick your poison really on that one, isn't it? Do you want to go with someone very defensive who's not really going to offer you anything, or do you do it? I imagine probably through the rest of the season it's probably going to be Philogene at home and Johnson away. It's how it will probably play out. But yeah, I thought it was a good team. I think Jack Clark had earned his start after playing really well at Coventry, and then I thought looked sharp when he came against Villa. So it was good to see him be rewarded with a start. And I think everyone, without sort of picking too much on it, I thought after Ben Godfrey, everyone had a good game. Really, I thought it was just a decent performance from us in the main.
Dave, Joe said we started the game well. Do you agree? Up till minute, just 15 or 18 or whatever.
Again, we said pre-match at the pub. So Christ, Delap up against Archie Gray, he's going to boot him all over the bloody out the stadium, sort of thing. And we started superbly. I suppose if the keeper makes a good save, the first save he makes from Delap when he goes through and works out on his left foot, he doesn't do a lot wrong there. Keeper makes a really good save. Great play from Karius, who showed again glimpses of it yesterday. Superb till he pulled up, and then literally seconds later, this is all pretty much Delap himself, where he gets that ball in that wide left roll, and just totally rolled Gray, out muscled him, and worked his way in. And you think, it's an ideal opportunity. Open yourself up and just curl it. You'd have had a great view of that, Joe. Open yourself up and just bend it in the far corner. And that's a weird one. He just doesn't. Maybe
does Gray get a touch on that?
Yeah, maybe he does. To be fair, in deference to Delap, maybe Gray does get a little touch there and puts him off. And you think, he's just going to bury this in the far corner, and he sort of just skews wide and stuff. And then on 7 minutes, absolutely.
It wasn't even 7. It's like 5:45.
So really, beautiful free kick. Hutchinson gets tripped. Great free kick. Brilliant delivery from Phillips. Unbelievable header from Delap. Gets up, one of those twisting ones, and he makes use of the pace on the ball. And Vicario's just watching it. It just hits the upright and comes out. Even if one of those goes in, we say this every week, though, don't we? It's a different. Said this against Southampton. It's a different game if you score first and one of those goes in, perhaps, but it didn't. And slowly, I guess Spurs began to get a grip up. up to when the first goal came about.
You want to do the first goal, Joe?
Yeah, well, it's Archie Gray. He played this ball a couple of minutes earlier where he just gets the ball, opens up the diagonal and just hammers the ball long to Son, who he's dropped off the back of Godfrey, but I don't think there's really a huge amount wrong with the positioning of it. It's just that's just the ball that they were going to hit, and it just worked from there. And then he just works himself into the box, and we're in a really good position because Godfrey's held him up long enough, and Darren O'Shea comes over to him, and you actually see him. He sort of points like, "You cover the line, I'll cover him if he comes inside," and then he doesn't. He just doesn't
happen.
The line. So Son sells him a dummy, and he just goes with it, and then gets to the line, and then it's blasted across, and Johnson can't miss. And I think he does run off Davis a little bit, but I don't think you could defend that. Whatever happens, you're not going to be able to defend that ball in. It's basically the ball is the goal. But yeah, it's just very frustrating that we get there, we get ourselves into a good position, and then you got two players to do it. So you got one to cover the inside run, one to cover the outside, and the guy that's covering the outside doesn't do it. And it's really, really tough. And that's the second time he got past him already, hadn't he? And he's got away there. And I say it was a recurring theme. And it's like, if anyone watches the NFL, when there's like a cornerback who comes on who's not up to the standard, the quarterback will just throw the ball in his direction every single time until he goes off. And it's a bit like that. They spot a weakness, and and I think someone put in the comments earlier, oh, we seem to concede carbon copy goals at home. And I think it's just because when they have a weakness, they just hammer you and hammer you and hammer you until you score or you change something up. And that's just what they do. There's no, it's not function. It's they just see what they need to do and just do it.
Yeah. Apparently, two things about that goal. What led to it was a really great bit of vision from Phillips, who tries to pass the ball inside with pace to Delap. And if Delap can get ahead of Gray, he's in on goal. All he needs
He's a bit on his heels, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just on his heels, and he's stretching for it. And I thought, I've watched it back, I thought Gray nipped in front of him, but he doesn't. He can't quite reach. He's a bit on his heels, and he can't get it. So Gray steps up. And someone else made, I think, in the Telegram comments, said they're watching the warm-up, and the last sort of couple of minutes was Gray from exactly that position, pumping 40-yard balls diagonally into our right back, beyond where the fullback would be. And look, the goal was, how many times have you seen Son and Kane over the season score a goal, carbon copy goal like that? Eons of times. Yeah, Godfrey was at fault, and it wasn't great defending, but it's Son. I mean, he's world class, and he's proven in the Premier League.
Didn't need to be world class at that point, though, did he? He didn't need to be world class.
No, he didn't.
Dave, I totally agree.
Exactly what I mean. There's a world class player. You're right. Yeah. Perhaps a more average player would have delivered it, but it was just clinical, wasn't it? I don't think I see Davis got dug out a bit for it, but now Joe's right. The ball came across with pace, and Johnson was just there. There's not a lot you can do about that once he reaches the byline.
Yeah, no, 100%. I just totally agree with Joe's sentiments, Dave, that sometimes when you're trying to double up marking, if you get it wrong, it's actually worse than having one player there, because the two players just give an obvious alleyway for, where the attacker to go. And yeah, it's just hopeless, wasn't it? And who did the last one? Was it you're gonna get a few today anyway? Is it you on this one, Dave?
Yeah, I think so it's Betancourt.
Jono the Younger's second.
Yeah, this I think. Yeah, Davis doesn't do great on this one. That's a bit later in the goal, but yeah, Betancourt sort of steps forward and again plays that
he's
ball.
A good player, isn't he?
Yeah,
You say Betancourt? Is he the guitarist from Extreme? Carry on. It's a bad rock.
Plays a left foot ball this time inside. Which we've seen again this season inside Godfrey.
That's a good ball, to be fair.
Oh, no, it's a great ball. No, don't. And this time, Son's clever. He doesn't try and break the line. He gets his head up. He squares Godfrey up and just picks a pass. Johnson, pretty much unmarked. Well, 8 yards out. First time late. It's not. It doesn't. It's the first time shot. It's not a thunderbuster by an extent. And you think, oh, could the keeper? No, it goes. He's unsighted. It goes through Davis and goes, I think, through Greaves as well. He's got no chance, the keeper. I mean, I know this is very much highlighted by Danny Murphy, who absolutely threw Davis under the bus on Match of the Day yesterday. Absolutely crucified him. And I think with that one, perhaps he did have a point because, maybe Davis again was guilty of ball watching there. But
hey, can I stand up for him? They're panicking. They've conceded that goal.
I know.
They all run back. Johnson's
Absolutely.
clever. Kevin Phillips, he says, sometimes the best movement you can ever do, stand still.
Yeah,
Everybody runs back. They're all panicked, and
Yeah.
Johnson stands still, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is if people said Davis was at any fault for the first goal, I disagree. Like Joe said, I disagree with that. Maybe the second one a bit, but yeah, it was just, again, we've seen it all season, just clinical. And you're 2-0 down.
And I think the frustration thing is as well with it, which Kieran McKenna talks about in the press conference, is that Axel Tuanzebe commits 2 fouls in the first half of the game against Aston Villa, or 1 foul in the whole first half against Aston Villa, and we missed him so badly. And he played so well at Spurs. That was that game he just sort of surprisingly back in the team after his hand injury, came back in and absolutely just shut Son down at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And our right back role, I wouldn't say it's a problem so much in that it's just such a difficult role. And this is what we had this conversation last year where everyone's like, Harry Clark is a liability. And you think, no, he's having to go one-on-one against Mavididi, against Somerville. All these players are going, they're basically saying you defend a third of the pitch on your own against that. And that's the way our system sets up. That's where we don't have the spare man. We were over, and it asks a huge amount of the right back. And it does seem that effectively Axel Tuanzebe is the only person who's able to play that role for us because he's just a top class defender. And like I say, Ben Godfrey didn't cover himself in glory. He got booked shortly afterwards, and I think it was quite obvious he was going to be going off at half time straight away.
And no, I think I think you're right. And I think also, you miss with the Burns and Ogbene injury, you miss those 2 speed merchants on that side, providing the cover and the pace necessary. We listen, I know we've all said on the pod all through the season, look, for us to have any chance to stand up, we need a bit of the rub of the green. And injury-wise, we've had bugger all, really, haven't we? Crucial times. We just really suffered, and unfortunately, the squad's just not big enough to cover that.
I think it's just when you have injuries in the same areas, isn't that?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back in the game here. Joe, decent goal, this one.
Yeah, really good goal. Phillips is, again, and I thought excellent again in the first half. Really, really good. And he comes and nicks the ball, plays it through to Jack Clark, who takes a look up, pulls it back to Amari, who's found a real lovely bit of space, very sort of Connor Chaplin-esque there. And just first time finish, just wraps it home, gives Vicario no chance. And it felt like we were right back in the game at this point. And continued. It was a Leaf.
You're right. It's a Leif Davis, Connor Chaplin copyright on that goal.
Yeah, and it's great for Amari. He's finally, I would say it's funny, but he's starting to put up some numbers now, isn't he? I think he's played well, and most of the season he's had some tough games, but he's still very, very young. Still only, what was he, 21 or was he 22 the other day? I don't know, but you think he's got that assist against Villa, a goal now, and all of a sudden they're the things that matter, aren't they, for these players?
Dave, sorry, Joe. Do you think about stability? That guy went from one big club to another big club when he was very young. Then you go on a loan. Then you make a transfer, but you're in a team that's struggling. There's still a sense that he just wants a nice, stable environment that's not on loan or at the bottom of the table or what have you to excel to his best,
But this was the stage of the season last year where he really went from sort of here to up there, wasn't it? And you think that maybe he's doing the same again this year. He's got up to speed. He's at the level now, and he's just working his way up there. And hopefully he can finish the season as strongly as he did last year, because that gives us a chance.
Dave, how do we finish the half, and how are you feeling at half time?
Yeah, I mean, as Joe said, so this was 36 minutes, so you're back in the game. I'd say fairly deservedly over the balance of play. To be fair, Son had before Hutchinson scored. Son had another identical chance, didn't he? Stepped over and got a left foot shot. Good save from Palmer with his feet low down. Really good block that was. So that could have easily been 3-0 then. But no, we scored. I can't remember. It's really not much happening after we scored until half time. But what we did, so I think that's Betancourt stride through, and again he made a good block. Betancourt got in a good shot, and I think he made a good block. I think that might have been after.
You're definitely calling him Betancourt. It's Bentancur, isn't it? Betancourt is the guitarist from Extreme. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm calling him Betancourt.
Okay.
Yeah,
beautiful hair. Betancourt. Yeah,
exactly.
You did it on purpose.
He was. Great shot, good save, great block again. But no, I don't think. I think. Yeah, we all thought that don't concede a third. Now we got back in the game. keep it reasonably tight, keep it 2-1 till half time, and then obviously there was always going to be a reshuffle, as Joe said.
So what did that look like then, Dave?
Reshuffle at half time.
What was the reshuffle?
Unsurprisingly, Godfrey off and Wolfenden on, and O'Shea shifting right side.
And do you think things would have been different if the game had started that way?
Possibly.
I think O'Shea would have handled Son better. He's an excellent defender, isn't he? And the Ben Godfrey transfer, you don't want to write it off, but it does seem like it hasn't worked and it's not going to work. In the fact that last weekend, rather than bring him on when he was the obvious one to come on,
you don't want to write it off, but it's not going to work.
but if you think last weekend he should have really come on, but we brought Wolfenden on and moved O'Shea across, and
agreed, yeah,
and this is the role he was signed for. He was signed to be our backup right back or to compete with Axel Tuanzebe for the right back spot. And I think if Axel Tuanzebe misses a game next week, I think Luke Wolfenden would come in rather than Ben Godfrey. So it's a bit like how many more games is he even going to get this season?
How many more minutes is Jens Kajust going to get, Joe? He's
7.
off. Thank you. Yeah, he's off on 52. What's the diagnosis on that one?
Ankle injury. Looked a sore one. He went down and the physio came on. He tried to play on, but then in the next phase of possession, he was just sitting down on the floor. So he went off at that point, and a real shame because typically, like the only midweek game, I think we only got like 4 midweek games all season, and we lost both our central midfielders through injury ahead of one of them, and chances are they probably won't be fit for the Man United game, you'd imagine.
He was good, as Joe said. I saw him walk off in front of us with ice on his ankle.
Whole slew of substitutions before this gets a bit loose and gets away from us. Dave, Taylor obviously comes in for Kajust, and Maddison and Porro and Broadhead all arrive. How does the game kind of play out after Kajust has gone off and before?
Well, we have an offside. It was off the linesman had his flag up straight away. We have a free kick. Amari takes it in a quite good position, probably about 25 yards out, just to the right side. Amari has a left foot shot. Wall blocks it. Play back out, I think, to Hutchison again. It's in a good cross back post and point blank 6 yards out. Wolfenden's there, nods it in. We're off 2-2. To be fair, the assistant had his flag up straight away. So there was a check, but looking back on that, unfortunately he was offside. But again, narrow margins. We were
really knocking on the door at that point, were we? But
we were.
Playing really well.
But then, as Joe said, when Maddison came on, they sort of really got control of it again. Obviously, Kajust had gone off by then. Maddison came on, and they started to control it a lot more then.
Another one where the ref just allows them to kill the game, doesn't he? Like their head injury, which wasn't a head injury, and he blows up so quickly, doesn't even give us the ball for the throw in, and then we don't get.
That was just crap. That was.
Yeah.
What the hell was that about?
Yeah. So there's head injury, and they sort of run with the ball, and he blows up or stops the game before 1 second after the head injury, and then the ball goes off the pitch for our throw in, but he goes back to a drop ball and gives them the ball. It's like, and we don't get the ball back after that.
No, they play on,
and then effectively then there's another soft free kick there, and it's just like we had good 10-15 minutes building up a head of steam, and then they just with the help of the ref allow us to have all that momentum killed from us, and then we didn't really get anything after that, did we? We didn't really get back into the game after that.
No.
Who's doing the next goal then, boys? Whose turn?
The next goal. Is it me? Yeah. Spence actually picks the ball up initially. He looked a good player, actually, to be fair to him. Picked the ball up initially. Obviously, Maddison's getting dog's abuse from the crowd. He loves all that, doesn't he? Slips it in, sort of edge of the penalty area. Slips it into Maddison. I think we're a bit. I know. He's just on the edge of the box, and perhaps we're a bit soft with it. But Maddison does it, sort of drops his shoulder, does a lovely little dance around with the ball, and it's a really clever, works a bit of space, and cleverly flicks it back to Spence. And typical of our luck, he hits it 15 yards, something like that. Joe Wolfenden gets there and just deflects up and off him again. Palmer, no chance. Yeah. Well, you say it was a soft one. We could have been perhaps a bit stronger, I think, with Maddison, but it's just unlucky again. Wolfenden does everything right, gets his body on the line, gets in a good block, and it just loops over Palmer. What I would say is, before we even get to the last goal, ironically, we conceded 4 goals yesterday, not one was the goalkeeper's fault. Get out.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's a good one. The 4th one. Joe, you got a lovely view of this one, mate, wouldn't you?
Yeah, another controversial one, though, because Dane Scarlett and Jacob Greaves go for the ball and they clash heads, and Greaves goes down holding his head, and the ref looks at it and decides to play on that one. Kulusevski just runs the ball in, bends it in off the far post, and you think, if that's the other way, he stops the game there, because he already had stopped the game and there was absolutely no need to. The ball was literally on its way off the pitch when he...
Maybe he felt bad about stopping the game when there was no need and didn't want to stop it this time.
And like you look at the Arsenal game, we played them, and Odegaard goes down holding his face, and it stopped instantly when we were on the attack. And you just think, I know, like I say, it's not about just blaming the referees, but we just haven't had any luck all season. And that was just another example of it. Really, there didn't matter, but it just feels like everything's against us at the moment, and we've needed to be everything for us, and it just hasn't been in at any stage of the season. The same ref, obviously, from the Leicester game that really cocked things up there, where that sort of probably has really set us back at that stage there. But I say, it's like they were better than us. They deserved the win, but it was just a very, very frustrating one, because we should have scored in that first 10-minute spell when we were flying at them. Had 3 excellent chances. Not mentioned that Philogene shot hits Amari Hutchinson on the line, and if he's not there, it goes in, and he's not offside. And you just think from there, and then we had that real good spell, that sort of 10-15-minute spell in the build-up to Wolfie's equaliser, and then it's disallowed for offside, and it obviously is correctly disallowed for offside, and we just not had the moments.
It's a great finish. I mean, take nothing. Everyone was sort of, the crowd were clamouring for the ref to stop the game, but you got to give it to Kulusevski. It's a brilliant finish. His class, drops his shoulder, uses sort of Davis as the shield sort of thing, and again Palmer at full stretch bends it in off the far post. It's a great finish, but again, just too much quality for us at the end of the day, really. I saw Gary's comment there, and I kind of agree. I know he has stopped the game for, he had stopped the game very quickly for head injuries, but maybe that was Greaves making a bit of that. I don't know. But anyway.
they do clash. Scarlett, even in the celebrations, he's rubbing his head. Yeah, you could see it hurt him. If it had been the other way, he'd have gone down, because he was still struggling with his head. He gave it a big celebration in front of the stand.
And the ref is following the ball, of course. The ref's not looking at that. The ref's following the ball, and Kulusevski. And
that's such. I don't want to defend referees, be a referee apologist. Such a muggy law, that one, because it is so open to skullduggery. That, and I've come a cropper when I've been doing like watch-alongs and things, and said, "Oh, so and so's gone down with a head injury," and they've actually been hurt. A massive lump on their head or whatever. You just can't. And players are always going to be dishonest at times to try and get those advantages. So it is difficult, but I do agree with Joe's point that if you're going to blow quickly for one, blow quickly for all of them then, and just have that as your blanket rule, Dave.
And it's just a learning curve of the Premier Leagues. Again, I think we've said over the weeks, we're just not cute enough. We're just not street smart enough. We're just not.
Kieran McKenna, he got asked that, didn't he? And he said no to that, but is he kind of just managing the perception there, Dave?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no one wants to think that, but we're just not compared to other sides. We're just.
I think they're the things you notice. Obviously, the physicality is the big obvious thing, and how physical the Premier League. I think we all underestimated how big the step up would be in that one, and I think it's because you can watch it on TV and it doesn't look that. It isn't. No,
not from the nice TV.
But then when you're actually in the grounds and you see it, it's really, really noticeable. But it's also just how cynically professional all these teams are as well. How they just shut games down. How they just stop games taking place when they don't want the game to be played. They just stop the game from being played for 10, 15, 20 minute segments of it.
Yeah, shut it down. Yeah,
shut it down. I think that's what I'll do with the Spurs chat here, and we'll go to a word from our sponsors.
Blue Monday is proudly brought to you in partnership with our friends at Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for work on property or business law. Their client care has repeatedly been recognised as outstanding, and they are people-focused with a plain English approach which sets them apart. They have offices in Ipswich, Colchester and London, and to find out more, head to atwells.com.
Yeah, big thank you to the people at Wells. Also, we are brought to you in association with One Stop Badges. I think we're getting some more One Stop Badges. If you see one of the guys, you probably find them in the pub. Maybe they'll stay in the pub throughout the game during the rest of the season now. But there you go. This week coming up on Tuesday, we've got a little kind of mini Man United pre-match show. Wednesday, there may be a live reaction show. Fingers crossed, it merits it. Thursday, we'll have reaction and a bit of a Forest mini preview. And Sunday, we'll be back with the flagship as well. I want to say a big thank you. We did our 900th episode special, and we were very reticent because we're a very humble bunch, and it was like, we can't talk about us for 45 minutes. And the Telegram group kind of asked, and we reluctantly did it, and we didn't want to put it out. And it seems people want it to go out down the main feed as well. So we'll put it down the main feed. And we've had some really lovely comments. I know we always want the show to be about the football, but people have shown a genuine interest in how the show's developed and how, various people have kind of come into it and the stories behind that. So we really appreciate that. Nice stroke to our egos in a difficult week on the football side of it, which is now going to continue as we go into the Premier League roundup in association with Innovation Labs. So, as I said, it couldn't have been too much worse. Leicester 0, Brentford 4 is a newly promoted team being hammered by a newly established Premier League team. Everton 2, Man United 2, Arsenal 0, West Ham 1. So unhelpful. I know they were kind of away anyway, but you think difficult game. And not great for the title race. Joe's calling the Premier League boring. Well, looks like the title race is going to be done just quickly. Where am I going? Bournemouth 0, Wolves 1. I have to ask one of you two about that. Fulham 0, Palace 2, Saints 0, Brighton 4. It's just one after the other. And Villa 2, Chelsea 1, Newcastle 4, Forest 3, Man City 0, Liverpool 2. Who wants to talk about Wolves then? I have a volunteer. Well done, Wolves. Fair play.
Yeah, but when we talk about not getting a lot of luck this season, I think this is another case where Bournemouth get a dodgy red card 30 minutes in, and when Wolves play Man United, Bruno Fernandes decides to make 2 stupid tackles in 2 minutes of each other. And why is no one doing this against us? Why is no one giving us a muggy red card against us so that we can play a game for 60 minutes against 10 men? We just don't seem to have it. But Wolves, as you'd expect, Matheus Cunha looks like he's going to be the difference for them this year, doesn't he? And they seem to have discovered that they are actually good enough to be a mid-table side and are now playing like one and getting the results of one, which is going to make things very, very difficult for us. But fantastic result. But yeah, I think, that red card changes the game, doesn't it? And we need some of this to happen to us.
Says on FootMob here, I assume this is created by AI, but it says, Dave, Cunha drags visitors clear of bottom 3. There you go. AI does know what it's talking about, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's good finish. He had another shot as well. Similar to the goal he scored against Liverpool the week before. Yeah, just good. It's just, you look at those results. Just the bloody promoted teams are just fodder, aren't they? That's what they are. Premier League fodder, basically. And that's sadly how it's turning out. I mean, no other really results to speak of, other than the comedy Ashley Young non-penalty was quite amusing at Everton, where he nearly had his shirt pulled off his back by Maguire. But I think VAR. Well, the ref will give a penalty. Oh no, I think VAR will take a look at that. Oh, I'm not sure that was clear and obvious. You better chalk that one off. Jesus Christ, he nearly pulled his shirt off. But there you go.
Right. Get your questions in as we're looking at the table. We'll go to the questions portion of the show very, very shortly. Stick a Q before a question mark afterwards. But Yeah, that looks really bad, Dave, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Southampton 9, Leicester and Ipswich 17. So way below the point per game. And, it's come down lower than that over the last few years.
And look at
Wolves, 5 points further up. You're about to say, look at the goal difference as well, are you, Dave?
Well, you got to -12. Yeah. So that's 6 points. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. As Joe quite rightly said, what they got Fulham. You can see them doing a number on Fulham at home. Before we play on Wednesday, and then it's going to be a tough. It's not. Yeah, as Colin in the chat quite rightly said, it's not nowhere near mathematically certain yet. But my God, it would be this really would be the great escape. It's going to be a tough ask, and so much has got to change. Not. Well, you're not going to change the quality of the squad at the moment, obviously, but things have got to change with injuries, and it looks like, someone said again in the chat, looks like we're going to go to an injury-ravaged Man United. Well, looks like we're going to go to Man United probably without Phillips, probably without Kayuste. Yeah, you're up against it immediately, aren't you?
Joe, reflections on that table, and talk to me about the psychology. We've seen this before when a bottom three gets cut adrift, and you can have a very flat last month or two of a season when that happens, can't you?
Yeah, because you don't go into a game thinking if we win today, we can end today in a better place, like outside the bottom three. It's like if we win today, we means we just get back into contention, sort of thing. So it's really, really difficult, I guess, to motivate yourself to win those games when you know what it's going to take to get you out of it. And it's not just, like I say, we could win the next 4 on the bounce and still be below a point per game.
Another point talking about injuries, I just saw him mention there, and Ciso, he'd have provided something different yesterday. No doubt, really excited about him. Even the way he started the game against Villa last week, albeit he only lasted 20 minutes, but he really did look the part. Hungry, eager, certainly eye for a goal, eye for a shot. Just been ideal yesterday, but again, that looks like we're probably not going to get him back till after the Paraguayan internationals, did I read? So that's hopefully for the Bournemouth game, albeit if the scans, what this Paraguayan doctor said about the scans, apparently.
Not good. We'll get into the questions now. Keep them coming. Let's see what we have got down here.
There's a few bits about Man City in the chat and relegation, which I don't think anyone in a million years thinks is going to happen. But it is very, very important that we make sure we finish 18th in the league. If we are going to get relegated, we've got to make sure we finish above Leicester and Southampton, because if something ludicrous does happen, how galling would it be if something happens and Leicester are the ones reprieved by not us?
Bloody Leicester,
because we've not done it. So we just got to make
loophole Leicester. Yeah,
just got to make sure we finish above Leicester and Southampton at the very, very minimum.
Can you seriously see it being that penal though?
No, I can't. I can't.
No.
But just,
I know what you're
saying. To do it.
Yeah.
There you go. Joe, LJ, a lot of cash on players of a similar profile behind the striker, all fairly lightweight. Might serve us well next season. Did we sort of need more physicality?
I guess the physicality we signed was Ogbene, wasn't it? And he didn't last. And if you have him on the right side, there's a lot more robustness there. But I know everyone will look at recruitment and say, "Oh, we spent all this money and we haven't really got anywhere." But I think when I was talking about earlier about Crescencio Somerville, he goes to West Ham for 35 million, was it? Rutter goes to Brighton for 40 million. These are players coming out of the Championship. We wouldn't have been able to attract them here because they're going here. So you've got a very small area that you can recruit, and it's players who effectively are too good for the Championship, but are going to take a year or two to develop into Premier League players if they do even make it to that stage. So I think the recruitment generally I think has been good, and I think it leaves the squad in a really good position. There's obviously been a couple of areas like the goalkeepers. One has been an area that's cost us. I think central midfield again maybe hasn't been quite right, but when you look at the performance Phillips and could just put in yesterday, I thought that's probably our best central midfield performance of the season. I thought we dominated the midfield in the sort of first half of that game, especially, and it's just really difficult. But we are. I think the recruitment has been good, and I think it will serve us well going forwards. It's just, Liam Delap's the exception, not the rule, of players stepping up to the Premier League, isn't it? Amari's more the usual one who's taken this long to get up to the speed of the Premier League. He's put in good performances every now and again, but he seems to be sort of finding that consistency now, but it's going to be very, very difficult.
Dave, if we get offered KFP for 15 million in the Championship, would you want him? That seems a bit steep, doesn't it, that number?
Yeah, it does. And the wage, yeah, okay, you've got the parachute money, but the wage, no, I don't think. I think if we go down, I don't think we'll be seeing KFP.
Take him on a free, maybe, Dave. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. Well, yeah, maybe for a free. I think he would possibly end up back where he started, perhaps, if they get promoted. Who knows?
Which they will.
He certainly started this show. As Joe said, I thought yesterday him and Kayuse, but I thought him as one of probably his best game to date. He's really sharp and getting around the pitch and just getting hold of things generally. It's such a bloody shame, but there you go.
Right, can I get some story time with Joe then? Does McKenna stay if we go down? So if you've got him going, can you spin me some yarn about who's going to be leaving their job in the summer where he would actually end up going?
I guess the destination at the moment that looks like there's going to be a vacancy is probably Bournemouth, with Andoni Iraola being linked with Real Madrid. I guess Tottenham, there could be a change in management there, and you wonder where they go. There might even be another change of management at Man United, sort of with how that's going there at the moment. I guess Thomas Frank is one who might get a big job as well, so maybe there's an opening at Brentford. But I don't feel like something's going to happen in the summer. I think the problem is we start the season well next season. We're flying at the top of the league, which is if we go down, and then Crystal Palace, Glasner leaves Crystal Palace, or Thomas Frank goes in the middle of a season, and then at that stage is probably when it's going to be more likely that we lose him.
Yeah. Amen. Dave, Jack, what positives can we take from this season for the club as a whole going forward? I can think of 100 million.
Well, yeah, that's got to be it, hasn't it? I mean, it's just this experience. I mean, the players that will remain, I'm sure they'll be much better. They'll be, much better players or perhaps won't carry too many scars for the season in the Premier League. As Joe said, I'm just getting back to the signings. You're never going to get everyone right. You're just not going to get everyone right. And I think the signings we've made, majority, I think we've got right, and I think we'll prove. I think if we get relegated, I'm sure Philogene will light up as he did at times last year for Hull. Will light up the Championship next season. So, yeah, I mean, the real positive is the bloody rewards that came with the promotion, really, isn't it? And as I said, as the experience that some of these players will have had as well.
Joe. Also, on that side, the training ground's been started soon. The new training ground,
building assets everywhere.
The academy's going up to category. The academy's going up to Category 1, and so we'll be in a position if we're in the Championship next season that if we can get another promotion, we'll be a team that's coming up when you only need to add 4 or 5 signings in the summer, not 13. So you're going up with we weren't a. There's sort of levels in this. You've got like League One, Championship, then you've got the parachute clubs, then you've got the Premier League clubs, and we've that jump
and the Champions League clubs over the top.
Oh yeah, don't worry about them. We're a long way. We're a long way. But you've almost got the parachute clubs are sort of in that limbo now between. But we're now our squad is of that level, like a Leeds or Southampton last year or Leicester last year. We're now in that range as opposed to being a middle where everything's got to go right for you to get a promotion, or Coventry or a league like that. And if you miss it, you then stripped bare and have to start again. Where we're sort of out of that side, so which is, I say, where we need to be, isn't it?
Would a win at Old Trafford give us all a great shot? I mean, it'd be nice, wouldn't it, Joe? Hey, go to Old Trafford. When did we last win at Old Trafford, Dave?
We last won, I think. Now, here's the thing.
Alan Brazil.
Sorry, 1984. This was I was talking about.
Did Alan Brazil score?
Only no. Mitch DeVray and Alan Sunderland.
Right.
Incredibly, this is still one of the greatest football stats. That was the last league game that particular game in May 1984, that Man United were winning at half time and lost at full time. 41 seasons in a league football, so all the Premier League and 8-9 seasons before that. And when they've never lost a game other than since then, when they've been winning at a league game, when they've been winning at half time and beaten at full time.
Before I was born.
Who's going to check that then?
It's insane. It's true. That's true. I've said it. It's true.
They do mention it every now and again, don't they?
It is incredible. Yeah, it is absolutely sensational. I was there. Well, I know I was actually there that day. Yeah, it was a bank holiday Monday. Yeah.
There you go. Joe, Delap has a sensational start, but as the match develops, we're increasingly unable to give him anything to work with. What's happening?
Well, I think they realised that him against Archie Gray 1-on-1 was a mismatch. So it was sort of Bentancur that dropped in to help Archie Gray out. Quite often, they just seem to, they just seem to sort of basically go 2 on him because he couldn't handle it, because Archie Gray couldn't handle him.
But like we put 2 on Son.
Well, we did, but then they decided not to follow the instructions.
This is a great question, Dave. If the present bottom 3 get relegated, do you think Town will be best equipped to make a return?
The bottom 3? Yes, I think so. Yes, I do think so. Leicester are in a bit of disarray generally, aren't they? Both, I think, financially and certainly,
there's a knock on the door from the EFL coming the second they get relegated.
All is certainly not well there. And, well, I mean, Southampton are just going to have the... all right, they only need, is it 3 more points to beat Derby's all-time low points record, something like that. But yeah, that's...
get Adam Armstrong back from loan from West Brom. He'll get you 25 goals, won't he?
And with our recruitment, I know we've said perhaps with one eye on what long-term in the Championship, I honestly think we are, comfortably, actually, the better equipped.
Well, and when you talk about sort of like Leicester last year, they should have got points deduction, they should have had one this year. Whilst you don't always get them through FFP and PSR, this is what happens to you, though. It's like a death by 1,000 cuts. It slowly smothers you until you just can't do anything. And they sort of came up this year, didn't have massive amount to recruit. They couldn't do anything in January until they sold Tom Cannon. They're going to go down and still be so over the limits that they're not really able to build a squad like we'd be able to next year. So this is how FFP gets you. Like here, it just sort of kills you slowly.
Well, and if you stop the clocks now, you could have the incredible scenario in the Championship. Luton, a year 1 parachute team, are getting relegated, so they're not going to be there. Leeds, a year 2 parachute team, and Sheffield United, a year 1 parachute team, are getting promoted. Burnley are 3rd and haven't conceded a goal in about a decade. There could be no parachute teams other than the 3 that get relegated in terms of, because sometimes the year 2 ones are actually, like Leeds this season, they're quite stable, and you don't have 10 players getting sold and 10 players coming in the summer. So I know we've moaned about being against Dave, these teams, but it's going to be such a huge advantage if that's the case, Dave.
Yeah, that's the point with Burnley. Do you see? I mean, you see a lot of that. Do you see a team like Burnley? I mean, just had obviously defensively having a ridiculous season. If they don't get up, being absolutely savage.
But Dave, there'd be an absolutely superb playoff team, Burnley, if they don't get
good point.
Automatic. Yeah. Defenses win tournaments, Dave, and playoffs are tournament football. Aren't they? Just keep your own
so as far as you're concerned, they're the 3. The 3 as it stands now should make it.
Well, in theory, if it's anything like last season, where you've got 4 teams essentially that are just way better than everybody else, in theory, that's probably your playoff final, Burnley v Sunderland, isn't it? Unless Coventry do go just a silly run to the line and someone can actually score against Burnley and knock them out. Let's do one more and then we'll talk about Man United. Sorry if you don't get your question read out. Toffee Crisper, Thunderstruck, Trevor, Colin. I'll go with this one. Joe, if bad luck levels out, are we now loaded for an end of season blitz? I think some people would argue that we used up all our luck last season, didn't we, Joe?
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe we just get the last couple of
seasons, but yeah, I think it's too late really now, isn't it? There's too much to do. We needed to, and there's obviously parts of our issue where had we beaten Southampton twice rather than lost and drew with them and beaten Leicester when we should have done at home, that 7 points takes you above Wolves and to 24, and they'd have been the one looking up at us, and that's when the pressure rise on them, but it's just going to be very, very difficult. My concern is we kick off on Wednesday and we're 8 points behind Wolves, 6 points or 8 points behind them, and it's just looking like a mountain to climb, isn't it?
That'd be rubbish, wouldn't it? Off to Man United we go then. Is that not like it was though, where you know, I remember going there watching us under Burley, and I think Ryan Giggs played off Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and played as a number 10 in one of the games, and Solskjaer scored twice, and the other one was 4.
Yeah, that was a game.
Beckham was as well.
That was a game with Beckham was a bit like a quarterback, didn't he? Did he on that sort of 40-yard raking?
Oh, he pinged one over the over the top. Yeah, we played well. The first one, but not the second one. Yeah,
I remember Armstrong. I think second one we just got done 4-0, didn't we? I think the first. Yeah, I think Armstrong hit the bar at 1-0 maybe down that day. I remember that day. We were in that second game, the second season. The 2001. Yeah, he just weren't. Van Nistelrooy scored a couple, didn't he?
Of course he did.
Yeah, but no, I mean they're having a horrific season by their standards, aren't they? So not beyond the realms, but as we said in the chat, injury ravaged Man United, but what sort of team are we going to be able to put out?
Joe, is there almost a bit of a this sounds silly now, I'm clutching, but a bit of a benefit that, you know, the pressure go off a little bit now, the gap's gone in, and I don't know. I'm trying to find a positive.
I don't think so.
I think go there relaxed, and
I think the players will still have the same attitude that we know what we need to do to win games, and I'm sure the club and the players feel that we've got 5 wins in us in the last 12 games of the season. That they'll be confident that they can do it. But it's looking from the outside, it's really, really difficult. It's going to be really difficult. But this is a game that we should be targeting. Man United, they've lost a huge amount of home games this year against sort of mid-ranking teams in the Premier League, and they don't look set. They seem to start every game poorly and then change in the second half.
To your point, though, there's no lower mid-table to target anymore, is there? You just have to try and beat anyone you get any chance who's not an elite team. And you have to try and get them at a good time, don't you? That just seems how it is for promoted teams now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. But I think we'll go there, and I'm sure Kieran McKenna will have something to prove to the hierarchy there as well at Man United. So he'll be extra motivated, and hopefully we can get a result like we did at Tottenham and sort of Wolves, sort of 2 away games, get a third away win of the season.
How many more of these have we got to do? So there's 12 games to go, but we can tick off 2 this week. So there's probably like 10 flagships to go, Dave.
Yeah, 10.
I don't want to be doing like the relegation tour for the last 10 weeks of this, Dave. Come on, persuade me that's not happening.
Look, Ben, I don't think we can. I don't think we can. I'm not even sure Joe can now.
He's going to end the show, so get psyched up, Joe.
Tonight, a hint of despair in Joe's overall demeanour tonight, which I haven't really seen before. So that does it for me. No, you just got to enjoy it. Someone said in the Telegram group yesterday, what would be nice, look, if we are going down, let's hope we can give at least a couple of teams I think he called it a couple of bloody noses. Do you know what I mean? Before the season ends, that would be nice. If we can
go down with a bit of momentum.
Go down with a bit. Exactly. Go down with a bit of momentum. That'd be superb. But unfortunately, it's been great. And if the worst does happen, and unfortunately, I don't think anyone's gonna really remember this season with any fondness at all. Really, will they?
Joe, are you got anything rousing for me here?
Well, not really, but I think at the moment, the frustration is we've had our last 2 home games. We've lost to Southampton and Tottenham, and Wolves have won on the same day. So when you look at a home game, you think we're at home today, they're away. This is a chance to try and claw something back against them, and it's gone totally the other way. It could have gone any worse. But I say, look, you've only got 12.
Take the lead on Wednesday. Here we go, Joe. Here we go. Come on.
Yeah, potentially a dozen or so more games of watching Liam Delapin in Ipswich. So enjoy those. He is a once-in-a-generation striker, it seems like. And fantastic player. I'm really looking forward to going to Old Trafford on Wednesday. I went there for the League Cup game a few years ago when we played the reserve. So it'll be better than that. But, I'm staying up in Manchester. So I'm really looking forward to that. And there's a lot more good away days and stuff to come over the next few weeks. And hopefully we can get some wins and enjoy it.
Wins. We've had plenty, but we could do with a couple or 3, 4 or 5 very, very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. bit of a struggle, this week, I've got to say. Not a good situation to be talking about, but we hope we have everything crossed that maybe it'll be a bit more positive next weekend. We will see. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please hit thumbs up and all of that good stuff as you are leaving. And lots coming up during the week, and hopefully some good news somewhere along the line. See you later.